Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the controversy surrounding Malcolm and Simone Collins? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, then move to my analysis. Malcolm Collins was born in 1986 and raised in Dallas, Texas. His family was wealthy. Malcolm earned a bachelor's degree in neuroscience and a master's degree in business administration. At some point, he met a woman named Simone, and the couple became romantically involved. She was born in 1987 and raised in Alameda, California. Simone suffered from anorexia and was later diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. She earned a master's degree in technology policy. In 2013, Malcolm proposed to Simone on Reddit, and the couple married. His unusual proposal method attracted a lot of attention. The couple purchased 2 adjacent properties in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, for $575,000. They moved into a farmhouse on one of the properties. The other property was occupied by tenants who provided childcare services to the couple in exchange for rent-free living. At the time I'm making this video, the couple has 4 children, but they would like to have a minimum of 7 someday. In the past, Malcolm and Simone had worked in venture capital and private equity. Later, they became involved with some type of corporate travel management company. The couple is best known for being leaders in the pronatalist movement. They even have their own nonprofit initiative called pronatalist.org. Essentially, the pronatalist movement is about increasing birth rates among specific populations. The argument for the position goes something like this. Over the years, birth rates in many countries, especially industrialized nations, have decreased dramatically, and they continue to decrease. There are about 8 billion people in the world now. The world population will be about 10.9 billion by the year 2100. These numbers don't make it sound like there is a birth rate problem, but just because the world population will increase until 2100 doesn't mean it will increase evenly across nations. Certain populations will experience an increase, but other populations will decrease dramatically. Pronatalists argue that high birth rates are only present in countries where the average citizen earns less than $5,000 a year. Essentially, these countries will become a source of workers for other nations, which isn't necessarily good for anyone. Over time, the birth rate problem could lead to many difficulties. For example, there will not be enough people of working age to support the older generations. There will be a decreased level of innovation. The world economy will disintegrate, specific cultures will be wiped out, and civilization will collapse. As one can imagine, there are different versions of pronatalism based on what population someone is worried about. Some people are worried about the world population in general. Others look at certain countries or cultures as the focus of concern. They are afraid if a specific group fails to maintain a suitable birth rate, they will not exist in the future. Moving back to Malcolm and Simone Collins, they appear to be primarily concerned about the birth rates of high-achieving elites, that is, those who are intellectually and economically productive. The overall population benefits from this subgroup of elites, and without them, society will struggle to survive. Malcolm and Simone are not only interested in playing a numbers game, they also want certain traits to persist in their descendants. So it's not just about quantity of children, it's about quality of children. For example, they are big fans of in vitro fertilization and pre-implantation genetic testing. This allows them to select embryos who are more likely to have high intelligence and no serious mental disorders. The couple makes an exception for autism spectrum disorder because they see this as an identity, not as a mental disorder. Malcolm and Simone have embraced a form of pronatalism which has attracted both positive and negative attention. On the positive side, they have the support of many wealthy technology figures, like Elon Musk. These people can sway public opinion. On the negative side, people have expressed concerns that the pronatalist movement could promote eugenics and a racist agenda. At the time I'm making this video, the controversy rages on. Some people believe that the pronatalist movement highlights a serious concern. Others say it is a distraction from more serious problems like climate change. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. Malcolm and Simone see themselves as members of the new right. That is, a conservative position which will exist after Donald Trump is gone. So they are right-leaning, but they don't like Donald Trump's version of conservative values. Their position is not unheard of in technology and venture capitalist circles. Pronatalism and politics have an interesting relationship. Political ideology is highly dependent on personality traits, which are in turn heavily influenced by genetics. Some research has indicated that about 40% of political ideology can be attributed to genetic variations. In this sense, the political battle can be conceptualized as long-term, like a multi-generational endeavor, whose success is partially based on reproductive strategies. Item number 2, Malcolm and Simone feel as though they have a lot of good advice to offer the world. They have written 5 books. All the titles start with the words, The Pragmatist's Guide to. They have The Pragmatist's Guide to Life, to Governance, to Crafting Religion, to Sexuality, and to Relationships. The books are designed to assist individuals in self-reflection and challenge their core beliefs. Based on the summary of the Sexuality book, it attempts to answer questions like, why do some people become sexually excited by unusual stimuli? The book on Relationships helps people to navigate the broken dating markets and plummeting marriage rates. Item number 3. At the time I'm making this video, Malcolm and Simone have 4 children. All of them have unusual names. They have a son named Octavian George, a son named Torsten Savage, a daughter named Titan Invictus, and a daughter named Industry Americus. They wanted to give their children strong names, and they don't believe in traditionally feminine names because they think women with these names tend to be dismissed. Considering how reproduction often takes place in the context of a romantic relationship, and these relationships typically start with attraction, are names like these really increasing the chances of reproductive success? In addition, these names may attract a substantial quantity of ridicule. Perhaps it would be more expedient to skip the middleman. Instead of using a name like Industry Americus, the couple could have selected one of the following names: Dating Non-Existentus, Single Forever Us, Friend Zone Eternalus, Gloomy Futurus, Misery Never Endus, Awkwardly Perpetuous, and Bully Target Infinitus. Item number 4. Malcolm and Simone have noticed that a large proportion of people highly interested in the pronatalist movement have autism spectrum disorder. It's possible that this dynamic has been observed because Simone has ASD, like people are interested in pronatalism because of her specifically. It's also possible that certain aspects of ASD make pronatalism seem more attractive. For example, people with ASD often have difficulty forming social relationships, especially with people outside their family. They may value the expansion of their family in order to have more social interactions that seem safe and calm. People with ASD tend to thrive in well-organized and consistent environments, which they could build through having large families. And pronatalism is a way of expanding one's impact on the world. People with ASD are sometimes marginalized and may see this as a route to increase their influence on society. Item number 5. Malcolm and Simone implied that they have big plans for their descendants as far as numbers. The couple noted that if each of their descendants had at least 8 children, and this continued for 11 generations, their descendants would outnumber the current world population of 8 billion. Considering how 8 to the 11th power is 8.5 billion, their math works out. It's a little scary to contemplate a world filled with that many people like Malcolm and Simone. Based on their current style of apparel, nobody in the future will be asking the question, "Where's Waldo?" because Waldo will be everywhere. As if this world domination strategy wasn't enough, Malcolm and Simone want to expand into outer space. I think many people would be fine with this plan as long as the couple journeyed into space prior to reproducing. Item number 6, what are my thoughts on the pronatalist movement? This is just a theory, my opinion. Certain prominent and successful figures, like some involved in the technology sector, develop a shift in priorities when they become extremely wealthy. They end up with a tendency to desperately search for a purpose consistent with their financial success. From their perspective, their wealth is indicative of their importance. It is proof that they are superior, which leaves them with feelings of grandiosity. Obtaining a legacy consistent with their superiority becomes their focus. Their own mortality is inconvenient. Death simply is not acceptable. It is beneath them. These wealthy elites make various attempts to sidestep this problem. For example, many of them have researched longevity, hoping to live forever, only to be defeated by the laws of biology. Others accept death and continue their legacy through some type of altruism, like donating money to a hospital and having a building named after them. These elites realize that these types of endeavors will outlive them, but they are still short-lived in the grand scheme of things. This brings them to ideas like those promoted by the pronatalist movement. This is an acknowledgement that living forever is not possible, but having one's genetic contribution carry on for hundreds or even thousands of years is possible. In a sense, it allows the elite to live on throughout the ages. To rationalize this desire to have a lasting impact, the elites come up with theories about how they must reproduce to save the rest of society. They argue that it's not about their own grandiosity. Rather, it's about creating intellectuals who advance science. Essentially, they package it just as another form of altruism. To someone who is desperately seeking immortality, the pronatalist movement is highly attractive. The arguments seem logical, and any group is permitted to promote their own reproduction. People have been reproducing for thousands of years. Why can't the elites do the same thing? If a person likes what they are doing, if they like who they are as a person, then they should reproduce so there will be more people like them. Extremely wealthy people often like themselves. Sometimes they even love themselves. Now moving to my final thoughts. Even though much of the pronatalist movement may be driven by grandiosity, it has touched on a curious phenomenon. Historically, wealthier people have fewer children. There are many reasons for this, including better access to contraception and a tendency to prioritize career and educational achievement. These so-called high-achieving elites appear to be stuck in a no-win scenario. They can have success during their lifetime, or a legacy that persists through their offspring. But as far as having both, circumstances have conspired against them. If Malcolm and Simone Collins are the most effective advocates of the pronatalist movement, then the high-achieving elites will continue to march toward extinction. Those are my thoughts in the case of Malcolm and Simone Collins. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.